We now begin with the part 1 for the grade 10 elite. This is the MCQ part, multiple choice questions, where you just have to choose the correct answer. So I will be going with the shortcut and the easiest method possible. Now we begin with the first one. It is to solve logarithmic expressions. Here we have some problems. The easiest and the best way would be calculator method. All the scientific calculators can solve logarithm for any base. So let's just put this in the calculator, base 264. There you go, that's the answer. You can use any big number or any fractions as well. So just put it accordingly and you get the answers. So 1 by 32. Please do try the others by yourselves and you can check it out. The answers are over here. Now I will just convert one log function to exponential because it's mentioned in this over here. How do we do that is, whatever log is given, make it equal to x. And then the procedure is like this. Whatever the base of the log, move it to the other side. And what happens here is, this log dissolves and this goes to the other side and becomes the power. This x becomes the power, sorry. This will be the base. It was the base of log, now it will be the base of the exponent. And here what is remaining? It's just 1. So when is 1 equal to, when 9 to the power, how much power? So x is 0, right? 9 to the power 0 is 1, so x can be 0. But we can directly solve it in the calculator as well. Here you can see the answer is 0. But in the calculator, we will straightly get it. But this is the actual way to do it. I did this method just to show you what is the exponential form. So from this log, this over here, the second step would be the exponential form. I'll just try the exponential form over here as well. It would be, this goes to the, you should make it equal to x. Take it to the other side. This dissolves. 4 is equal to 8 to the power x. This is the exponential form. And you can just put in the calculator and solve it up. This is a very easy topic, but if you have any doubts, please put them in the comments and I'll get back to you soon. In the question 2, we will use properties of logarithms and solve the expressions. This particular question here is sort of a writing question. So I'm not sure how exactly they'll ask, but they are asking, you have to just expand, like write it and prove a product and a quotient. You need to write it and give example. Now, product and quotient. That means you need to have two terms multiplied. I will take it as, I'll take in terms of x and y. X into y, I'm multiplying product. Quotient is z. What is the product and power? So I need products, that is x, and a power. I'll take power 2 multiplied by, you can take y, or you can have a power over here as well. Now what does it mean to have a product over here, the product rule, the quotient, division, and a power, everything together? So what I'll do is, this one I'll just edit it like this. Okay, this is an example. I have to just take random examples, okay, and then I have to use the properties. We will just look over here which sort of examples are taken here. Product, you can see product is xy and divided by the quotient is taken as 5. Now we take in terms of log, right, because it's all about logarithmic expressions. So log base b and xy by 5. Now, how do we expand this? What are the properties for how to solve this? How do we use the properties? The first thing will be the division quotient rule. Xy minus 5. See, I'll just show it over here. So log base b xz, sorry, this is xz, minus the divided part. Always when it's division, it becomes minus. And when you have two terms multiplied, see over here, log base b x multiplied by z, right? You can split it out by multiplying the log base b to both the terms and adding them up. See, log base b x plus log base b z. So you just multiply it but plus. This is the expansion. That's it. You can't expand further. They have just asked expanded expression. Same thing with the other things. Over here there are powers and products. You can see there are powers and products. So what happens is there's a power rule as well, which states that if you have any power, say log m to the power n, this power can be multiplied. It will be n log n. Is that okay? So over here we have this is log base 10. If nothing is written, it's base 10. This is understood. Now log base be m power 4. Multiplication will be plus over here, plus log base be p to the power 6. Now whatever is the power can come down. See here, and we write it. This is property. This is equal to this. Now, if you have the question in terms of n log base n m, and you want to write it as power rule, like your users, you can write this as log m to the power n. So this is how we do it. And lastly, we had product, quotient, and power. Here we have, see, product, power, quotient, and also another power. Same thing, first split it out with minus and then use the multiplication and then use the power rule. All the different properties of logarithms are used here. What about this problem? Here we have log base of root a and then a to the power square. You can try putting this in the calculator and it shows generally can't solve. Okay, if you put this as x and x, because there's lots of computation involved, square, power, it won't be able to be solved in the calculator. You might try it in graphing calculator, or if you have computer software, it'll solve it up. But here it's so simple. You need to use the rule of converting log to exponent. So what we do over here is, see, I'll write it out over here, the given. You need to solve this by writing, there's no other way. Let's make this equal to x. Now I will take this, I need to solve the exact value. That means if I assume this to be x, I need to solve for x. Let me take the base to the other side. And this dissolves. It will be a square remaining here and square root a to the power x. Okay. But here there's a problem. The square root over here there's a. So how about I square both the sides? If I square both the sides, what's going to happen? I can remove this square root and over here I will have a number only. So I'll square this over here and I will square this over here. Here this is going to be a to the power 4. That will be equal to this. I'm not going to multiply over here with x. I will remove the square root because this is already half, isn't it? This would be power half multiplied by 2 will be 1. So this cancels with this. I will have only a to the power x. If you are getting this confused, I will just write this square root a power x, right? Now, what is this power of square root? Power of square root is a power half. But I have in the numerator the x, so I'll write x over here. That's one more method, but this is also fine. Now, a and a's bases are same. That means the exponents can be equated. So 4 is equal to x is the answer. Here also bases are same, so I can equate the exponent. It'll be 2 times x by 2. Take the 2 to the other side. 4 is equal to x. Same answer any method. So the answer would be 4. So this is how we can solve the problem. You can see the steps. It's just the same. Sadly, you can't use calculator for this method. You need to do it manually itself. Now we have an interesting problem. Which expression doesn't belong to this group? Now look at the question options. We have log base b24. That is 2 times 12. Yes, this is correct because when it's plus, you don't add these terms, you multiply them. 12 times 4 is correct. What about this? It's 20 plus 4. Really, you should multiply. 20 times 4 is 80. This is wrong. What about this? 8 times 3 is correct. 4 times 6 is 24. Yes. So 1, 2, 1, 3 and 4 options are in no proper, but this is wrong. Okay, that's the answer. They have solved all. See this one, this log doesn't belong to because it doesn't equal. This is a wrong equation. Okay, all the other choices belong to that. Here we have another problem where we need to solve the exact value of x. You can try this in calculator. It might take a long time if you're going to get it, but generally such problems you may not get it. So we will use the properties. It's again simple properties of log. Here, okay, there is one important thing which you must know. This everything is in the power. Can you see this? Entire thing is to the power. So forget this x for a minute. Just solve this one. What's going to happen? We have 2 to the power 3. You can make it log base x 8. And over here it's just 5. Now we have log x 8 minus log base x 5. This is the division rule, right? You can just write log base x 8 divided by 5. Now when you look here, what is the thing? We have x to the power log base x itself. This is inverse. They cancel out. This comes down. Okay. So what remains is basically, see over here they have given the identity. Whenever you have x to the power log base x, this base and this base over here should match. If these bases match, then whatever is the term over here is the, it just comes down. That's the answer. Now we have proving problem. We need to explain how properties of exponents logs are related with examples like the first problem we did. We will just look through this. See the quotient property over here, we have two terms divided. Now how would you solve this? Log base 2. See this won't come for the exam in terms of writing. They might just give you a question like this and tell us which property it relates or something like that. Okay. So 32 can be written as 2 to the power 5 and 8 can be written as 2 to the power 3. And then we can simplify this log base 2 to the power. Here, what you can just put in the calculator and solve it up. But I'll just tell you what has happened. Here 2 and 2 is the same base. So you can just do power 5 minus 3. And now this is the answer you got over here, the right. Now, what did we just do over here? We did not use any property. We just divided. See, this division was there, right? We just left it as it is. We simplified here. We simplified 32 like this and solved it up. Now if you use the actual property over here, it's minus, right? If you use that, log base to 32 minus log base to 8 and solve them individually. We are not using any properties here, just the basic properties. We are not using the quotient property or anything. We just see log base 2 to the power 5. Now we can cancel this and this. Why? Because the base and this is same. So 5 comes down. We just now did it, right? 5 comes down. Over here also same thing. 3 will remain. So now we can do 5 minus 3. So now either we divide or we subtract. They both are equal. So therefore we can tell these two properties are related. So over here, if you do power property, what is happening? Similarly, we can do this 3 as 3 power 2 and now we can simplify the powers and then simplify this all together. Now if 4 is multiplied outside to log base 3 9, we can do the same thing. See, this was power. Now we have it below. Let's solve it up. It will be 9 times 4. 4 is just left out separately. 9 can be written as 3 square and log base 3 and 3. This cancels out. 2 remains. The answer is same. So this is how we can tell these both are related to each other. So that is how we can easily prove them up. And that's the end of this topic. You can just try to understand some important concepts of it because these questions are in MCQs, but the concept of these topics are important. The question 3 is to simplify and evaluate logarithmic expressions. Here we have these equations. So you have one side x and one side a constant, or both the sides you have x values. You can use the properties and law of log and solve it up, but I'll tell you a shortcut using your calculator and the given options. You will have 4 options, isn't it? From that you can directly check the answer. You need to type one side of the equation in the calculator, 5 to the power x square minus 3. Now type it out properly and then calculate x at different values. You will have 4 options. Just calculate x at, say I will do it at 3.8188. The answer is so much. Is it correct? No. I should get the right side as 72. So I will calculate now at plus and minus is there. So I will have to try both. 2.3785. And yes, it's 72.00. Why is it? Because I'm not putting the exact value, isn't it? The exact value corresponds to this. So yes, this is moreover true. And let me just change that to minus 2.3785. If I say reduce one more decimal, and this is see not accurate enough. So at least 4 decimals are required. When I do it with 4 decimal, I'm getting a closer answer to the actual answer, 72. So this is how I can deduce this as the correct answer. What will you do in such cases over here? Same thing. Type it out 4 to the power 2 alpha x and then calculate at all the 4 values and just write them in a piece of paper. So I will do it over here with the correct answer itself. Calculate it at 3.8188. And here you're getting 39,654. Now do the same thing over here. At the right side, that will be 9 to the power alpha x plus 1 and calculate alpha x, the x value, sorry, at 3.8188. That is 39.6. It's almost close. Then this is the only two values. This is the only x value where these two becomes almost equal. That's how we can easily get these answers. But what about inequalities? So this is a problem, right? Because inequalities you won't get exactly the same thing. But do the same method which I just now told you, and then I will tell you about the inequality sign. Now, for now, we will just do 7 to the power 2 alpha x, because we can't put any other variable, and calculate it at negative 0.9950. Let me write out this answer over here below this, 0.020809. And now what about this one? Here the right side, 52 to the power 4 alpha x plus 3, and now calculated at negative 0.9950. And what is the answer you're getting? See, it's almost close. It's not accurately close, but if I approximate this, it'll be 0.202081. It's almost closed, right? So this is the correct x value. Now, I'm sure you will have two x values like this, and one will have this inequality sign, and one more might have the greater than sign. Now, what will you do in such case? So, there's a method. Just look into the powers over here. Look at the powers. Now, if you look at the powers, you can see there is 2n greater than 4n plus 3. Now take this as an inequality and let's solve this up. So what would you do? I will try to get the n at the first position itself. So I'll bring this 4n to the other side. It'll be minus 4n plus 2n greater than plus 3. And here we will get minus 2n greater than 3. N is greater than, over here it's minus 2. So it'll be minus n is greater than 3 by 2. And now what will happen? We have to make this positive, isn't it? We don't keep n negative. If we are making this positive, we have to multiply both the signs by negative signs. See, we cannot directly take this minus to the other side. If you're changing it, it'll be positive n, but the sign swaps, it changes, and it becomes minus 3 by 2. This is the actual method, isn't it? So here, if you're going to solve it, this is not the answer because we didn't balance these out. But if you were going to solve this, the n value, the inequality changes when you get the n. So therefore you have this over here. Here also we have inequalities. So let's solve this up. It'll be p less than or equal to phi minus p. Now we will bring this to the other side. It'll be 2p less than or equal to phi. The p is going to be positive itself. You don't need to solve it. You don't. It's a positive value, right? So we don't have to change the sign. It's going to be less than or equal to itself. The sign remains the same. But here what's going to happen, 5y plus 3 greater than or equal to 3y. See, now this goes to the other side and it becomes y minus 3y greater than or equal to minus 3, and this sign needs to change because it's negative y, right? To make it positive, it will be less than. We are not bothered about the answer. We are just bothered about the sign of the y. So here it will be y is less than or equal to. So let's look at the answers. Here we can see it will be remaining the same. But here it will change. Say the next one, it has to change to less than or equal to. Then to find the x values, just do the calculator method I just showed you. Substitute it, make this both equal to. So this is the shortest method. You can solve by properties. That is also fine. Taking log on both the sides, and then this comes down and simplify as much as you can. And then take y to one side and then solve all the other things. Now here also y is at the right side, isn't it? And then to bring it to the other side, you have to change the symbol. That's the sign. That is how we solve these problems. If you have any doubts, post them in the comments. Do try the calculator method and remember to check the sign for the inequalities. The question number 4 is about exponential growth and decay. We have exercise 6 to 16. Now, please go to this link and watch the exercises from 6 to 13 because those problems are already solved. You can scan this QR code and go to the video directly. And after watching that, please come back over here. I will start solving from 14 onwards. If you have watched the previous questions in that video, you will find this very, very easy. Let us solve this out. A population is growing continuously at a rate of 3%. If the population is now 5 million, when will the population reach 8.3 million? State an assumption needed to solve the problem. Now, what is the assumption? Let's do this part first. Here they have given you populations and the rate. Only assumption when we use the exponential growth is this rate will remain same throughout. That is the thing. So here the formula is y is equal to ae power kt. This is the rate k. Now we assume that the k will be constant throughout, throughout these many years whenever the population from 5 to 8.3. But that may not happen in real life. But we are assuming that will be the constant rate. That is the assumption for this question over here. And k is over here 3%. You can directly put 3% in the calculator, or you can write it as 0.03 as well. The initial population, now the population is A, right? They have told over here that that's the initial population A. And the final population, what we want is 8.3, that is y, and the time is what we need to solve for. You can just write 8.3 equals 5 times e to the power kt will be 3% times t. Now we can put this directly in the calculator and solve. Here type this equation as it is. 8.3 equals 5 multiplied by e is by shift and natural logarithm symbol. Now you can put 3% shift and this symbol over here, percent. You can put multiplication and then you have to put the variable alpha x. Now please don't get confused that there are two x. It's just single x. This is multiplication, then the variable x. Press shift and solve, and then equal to your answer is 16.89. That is almost 17 years. Yes, it's 17. So after from 5 million to reach 8.3 million, it takes about 17. After 16.89, it will reach. Same way, please try these problems by yourselves. I'll just go through them, but they are all very, very simple. Here, same formula, but it's just that this is a decay because they have given the decay constant. So this will be minus k value. Here, we are not going to use this k value. Why? Because they have told to verify that. So that's why we will use this table and verify whether it's true or false. Now, what you do is use the same formula, y is equal to ae power kt. Whenever it is decay here, the k value, decay constant will be negative. That's the only thing. Substitute. We will take the last value at the time 3. So t is 3. And what is the final population? 999.628. And the initial population is 1000. Just put this entirely in the calculator. You can directly put it. You will get in the calculator. I'll show you now. I've just typed the entire equation over here in this calculator, and all you need to do over here is shift and solve, and then this is the previous stored answer. This is not the answer. You need to press equal to. It'll take some time and it'll give you the answer. Now, why I'm not going to, okay, I'm getting the answer. If you don't get it, just clear your calculator. You will definitely get the correct answer. Okay, this is the answer. Now it's 10 to the power minus 4. That means I will have 3 zeros. So you can see 1, 2, 3, and then it is 1, 2, 4. Now, yes, is it correct? Yes, it's almost true. We have got one more decimal point. That's the only thing. You can verify this k value by using these data and get one of the answers. Say, I will show you over here. You can just choose any time. We have taken away a time t2 and just substitute in the growth equation as t as 2. And what is the answer you're getting? 999.752. Yes, this is true. Obviously, it's true because we used this table and did it. And it's corresponding to this itself. So that's how we solve it. And over here again, it's a similar thing. It's just that they have told at 10 a.m. the number of bacteria is 20 and the colony population has continuously increased at the rate 8%. We need to write an equation. Y is equal to ae to the power kt, the same formula, and then substitute what is known. We know initial population A is 20, k value is 0.08 or 8%. This is the equation. We don't know time, it changes, and we will get any new population based on the time from 10 a.m. onwards. And now if you want to find the second part, they have told when will it reach 50. So just substitute y as 50 over here and put it in the calculator. You will get the time as 11.45. Now we got 11.45 as the time. That means it'll take 11 hours and nearly 30 minutes. But they have clearly mentioned what is the time, determine the time and to the nearest minute. And we know this will be starting at 10 a.m. So we need to add 11 and a half hours to this. If you add 11 hours, it'll be 9 p.m. But what about this 0.45? There are different methods to do it. The easiest way is cross multiplication, which I always use. Now, let's consider 1 as 60 minutes because this is minutes, right? Half an hour. Now, how much will be 0.45? Because I have 0.45 remaining. How many minutes? X. Cross multiply. X will be equal to 60 times 0.45. You can just put in the calculator and you will get the answer. It will be less than 30 for sure. It is 27. So it is 9:27. 9 p.m. And add this. Just in the calculator, you will get 27 minutes. So it will be 9:27 p.m. That's the answer. At 10 a.m., there are only 20 bacteria. To reach 50 bacteria, you need 11 and a half hours, nearly 11 and a half hours. So just add 11 and the 27 minutes to this, it'll be 9:27 p.m. That is the end of this topic. I hope you all watched the first questions from the other video link and then watch this, the remaining questions. Please practice it by yourselves, and if you have any doubts, post them in the comments. The question 5 is to simplify rational expressions by multiplying and dividing. For this particular question, please click on this link or scan this QR code and watch the video. All the exam questions are explained in this link. After watching that, I will do a shortcut method over here. Please use your calculator to solve these questions in your exam. You will have 4 options in your exam, so you can easily figure out which is the correct answer. First, you need to type this equation in this calculator as it is. Now here you do not have y as the variable in your calculator. You need to put alpha and x. I've just typed this equation over here, everything in the calculator. Now you need to calculate this at any specific value. You can choose 1, 2, 3, anything. I would personally avoid 1 because sometimes you may not get the accurate answer. And please don't make the denominator 0. Here you should avoid 6. If you consider calculate at 6, you'll get an error. Why? Because it's undefined. Same with over here 3. If you take plus 3 or minus 3, it is also undefined. So avoid those numbers. The best values to consider is like 1.5. You will definitely get an answer. And this is 13 by 2. Now keep this in mind, 6.5, 13 by 2. You will have 4 options, isn't it? Just solve those options. Now calculate at how much? 1.5. Look at all the 4 options, type it out. Now this is y plus 5, so alpha x plus 5, and calculate at the same saved value. You must get the same answer. Only one will give you the correct answer, all the others will be different. So this is how you can easily figure out which is the correct answer. Now what if there are 2 variables? That is also fine. Now this is division. Here one important thing which you must remember is you can't consider to be alpha x. Don't take that. You can take for one variable, but what about the other variable? You need to give it a certain number. See, I will type this as c as say 2 and d values as 3. And then I will solve it up. So I'm assuming c to be 2. So I'll just write it as 2 squared here. 2 squared minus 6 times 2 and so on. And for d, I will take it as 3. I have just typed it out. You can see over here, wherever c is there, I have typed it as 2. And wherever d is there, I have typed it as 3. So the same thing is done entirely. And then press equal to. The answer is negative 2. Same thing, do it over here now. For c value, I will put it as 2. And for the d value, I will put it as 3. C minus 3, close the bracket, and the answer is negative 2 itself. Only one correct option will give you the correct answer, and this is how easily you can solve it up. You don't need to do any of these long methods. Use your calculator and directly solve it. If you have single variable, it's very simple. Just assume that variable and put it as alpha x and calc. But if it is Any two variables, assume some value. Now over here there are how many variables? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't matter. You can consider 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or you can take it as like 1.5, 2, 2.5 and so on. Make sure the denominator doesn't become 0, but you're not assuming anything as 0 or anything, so it's fine. Even over here it should be the same numbers. So what I would suggest is write down x is equal to so much, y is equal to in a piece of paper. Do it in the question, write the answer and do all the options. Whichever matches gives you the answer. Try to use the calculator method for these problems because you will save a lot of time. All these solutions are over here. Please go through them by yourselves. And that's the end of this topic. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comments. Question 6 is to simplify complex algebraic fractions. Here also, please click on this link or scan this QR code and go to the video and watch it thoroughly. All the exam questions for this topic is explained in that video. After that, I will solve a couple of problems over here by the calculator method. Before we start this topic, a quick reminder, please go to question number 5 and be thorough with the calculator method over there because the same method is employed even over here. Now we have over here the expression with only single variable. So type it out as it is with a as the variable x in your calculator. I have typed this as it is. Instead of a, I have put alpha x. Now calculate this at any specific value. I will take 1.5 itself and we got negative 3 by 7. So it's negative 0.48, but let's keep it as fraction. Now look into the options. You will have 4 options. Look into all the 4 options and try to substitute the same a value, x value which we considered, that is 1.5 over here, and solve it up. Now what I will do is, since it's single variable, I'll just type this out as well. I've typed this as it is and now calculated at 1.5, I'm getting negative 3 by 7. It must be the same answer. But in the second question here, we have 2 different variables. It doesn't matter how many variables you have, as long as you assume a specific value for each variable, you can solve it up easily. Now I will assume b to be 2 and d to be 3. I have substituted this equation, assuming b to be 2 and d to be 3. And now the answer I'm getting is 4 by 9. Please write this answer down somewhere and now try all the 4 options. All you have to do is put all the 4 options with the assumed value for b as 2 and d as 3, and the answer must be matching the given question. That was 4 by 9, even this is 4 by 9. So that's how we get the correct answers. Please try this out all by yourselves. Over here it's all single variables, so it'll be easier. And since the options will be given, you can easily figure out the answers. So that's how we solve these problems. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comments and try to practice more problems so you will get a hang of it. And if you want this presentation, you can please click on the description below and download this presentation. Question 7 is to graph transformations of reciprocal functions. Here it is an easy topic because you can directly solve this in calculators. Please write out the given function in the calculator with the variable x as it is, and then what you need to do is look into the 4 options because you will have graphs as 4 options, isn't it? Now let's calculate this at any x value. Say now you want to calculate it at 4. Okay, let's put calc 4 equal to, it's 3/4. Is it correct? Yes, it's very close to 1. Yes, it's about 3/4. Let's try some other values. Let's calc at, say, 0. What's the value? It's negative 3/4. How about minus 2? Calculate at minus 2, negative 0.37. Yes. So only one graph basically gives you all the accurate points. Now, if you make this calc at, say, 2 over here, you're getting undefined math error. So this is the graph. Now, when you test so many points, all the other graphs will be eliminated and you'll be leaving only with one correct answer. So this is about graphing. You will be given 4 different graphs as the options. Easily check this out and choose the correct answer. There's one more thing over here in this particular question mentioned, domain and range, and identify the asymptotes. Asymptotes in the rational functions over here, make the denominator equal to 0 and solve it up. In your exam, you might just have graphs, but still, I'll just tell you what are the asymptotes here since it's mentioned. Asymptotes, in order to get the vertical asymptote, whatever is the denominator, just make it equal to 0. It's 2x minus 4 equals 0. You will have 2x equals 4, x is 2. So you can see at x equals 2, there is no defined graph point. I mean, it's an asymptote. It goes towards 2, but it'll never touch the line of 2. So that dotted line denotes an asymptote. And what about this function? It's a reciprocal function. All the reciprocal functions, if there is no plus or minus any term, will have an asymptote, horizontal asymptote at 0. So that is the horizontal asymptote. But if you have, say, 2 here, then plus 2, then the horizontal asymptote will be at plus 2. The rule is that if the degree in the denominator is greater than the numerator, then it will be on the at 0. But if you have plus or anything, it will be moved. So that is about the asymptotes. What about the domain and range? Domain is all the x values, range is all the y values, all possible y values. Now here you can easily tell all possible real numbers are possible for the domain, but not 2. So you can see it's written like this. All x values except 2. Same with y. All y values except 0. So that would be the domain and the range. You can see range over here. All f of x. F of x means the function y, but not 0. Domain is not equal to 2. Sorry, this answer is wrong here. It should not be equal to 2. And what are the asymptotes? Now, the asymptotes are also wrong over here. X is 2, and over here you can see the correct ones, and y is 0. Let's see another problem. This one is similar to the previous one. Very simple. Graphing is so easy. Just put this equation in the calculator and find out the correct graph. For domain and range, here all real numbers except 0 and 0, because the undefined point is at 0, and the range is also undefined at 0 because there's a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. So that would be the answers. Let me just go to another problem where we have something added to it. Now here, there is minus. Now if you look at the graph, you can see the asymptote is at minus 1. The domain is the denominator. X is not equal to minus 7. That's fine. But the range here will be minus 1, directly whatever is over here. Use the calculator and figure out the graph. You can also make the tables from the calculator as well, but the direct way to find out the correct graph is more easier than any other method. Here you can see the horizontal asymptote will be at minus 5. Vertical will be at the denominator equal to 0. It will be minus 2. So that's how we can easily solve all these problems. Here, please do try these problems by yourselves and then check the answers. Here you can see the denominator becomes 0 when x is 8. So basically 8 is undefined value. That is the vertical asymptote. And minus 9 is the horizontal asymptote. And then you just write the domain and range. All real numbers except the vertical asymptote. And for range, you should exclude the horizontal asymptote. That's it. And this is the last problem. Please do try using the calculator for all these. Figure out the graph, because in your exam only the graphs will be given because they have clearly mentioned graph transformations. And then just have this knowledge of domain and range as well. Question 8 is to solve rational equations. Again, we have a very easy topic. Here, we need to just look into the options and find the correct answer. You need to know all the 4 options. These answers can be the different options. We need to have a calculator here. All you need to try and do is put in all the options to one side of the equation and figure out whether it balances the next side. In the sense, now here, just type out this left side in the calculator. I've just typed out the left side. Don't type equal to or anything, because you can get the answer if you press equal to and shift and solve. There may not be all the correct answers. You might get only one. What if there are two? So this is why just put in one side and put in all the options. Calculate it at say minus 3, and what is the answer you get? It's 3 by 2. Here, this will only give you the correct answer. Whereas if you try any other options, calculate at 4, Is it 3 by 2? No. Calculate at 3. It's not the correct answer. Same way you can try over here. Now this is negative 12 by x. We have only x as the variable, so you need to type in alpha x. Now just put both these options and write your left side answer somewhere. Press calc and put in one of the option. This is minus 3. So write the answer somewhere. And then calc and put the next one. It is minus 4. So we are getting minus 3, minus 4. Now when you put it at the right side, when we put 4, we have to get minus 3. When we put 3, we have to get minus 4. Now calculate it at 3 and 4. So let's calculate at 3, we had to get minus 4, and calculate it at 4, we have to get minus 3. This will work with only one correct option, and that would be your answer. So you can try the same thing here, the same method. All you need to do is type 9 instead of x at the left side, and the same thing at the right side. You can try putting the entire equation and shift and solve, but the problem is when there are two solutions, it's not possible because you will only get one answer over here. One correct answer, yes, but not both. In this case, yes, you might get 9, but what if there are two solutions like what we had over here in the previous case? So this is why just look into the options and easily put it back in the questions, both the sides, and solve it up. Same way you can solve all the other problems. Here, wherever there is only one answer, it's very simple. Put this entire thing and shift and solve. But don't take the risk in the exam. But there might be two possible answers, and sometimes even the answer you get might be extraneous solutions. You need to put it back in the original equation and check it out. So that's how everything is solved over here, but please try to do the easiest method possible. Here there is no solution at all because you'll get imaginary solution when you solve it up. So null set. Now in this case, if you put all the options, you'll not get correct to the right side. It won't match. Then obviously one of the option must be null set. That would be your answer. That is an empty set. So that's how we do it even over here. Now when we put this, we got this answer, but when you put it back over here, it won't match. So from the check, we can tell this is a wrong solution. Therefore, this is also an empty solution. And try all the others by yourselves, and you can check for the answers over here. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comments. Question 9 is to solve rational inequalities. Here we have a real world problem. It's about origami. For prom, Mona wants to fold 1,000 origami cranes. She is asking volunteers to help and does not want to make anyone fold more than 15 cranes. So maximum one person has to fold is 15. Now write an inequality to represent the situation if n is the number of people enlisted to fold the cranes. Okay. So there are 1,000 required and n is the number of people. If you divide this by number of people, so many will be for one individual person. So it should be less than or equal to 15. Now just imagine if you have 1,000 and you have 100 people. So for each person, how much will it be? 10 for one person, isn't it? But here we need this number to be less than or equal to 15. So 100 divided by number of people, n, must be less than or equal to 15. This is the inequality. What is the minimum number of people that will satisfy this inequality? So you basically have to solve it. So just do 1,000 divided by 15 less than or equal to n. So solve it up. So 15, it will be 60 something. Let's just look at the answer. You can put in the calculator. Okay, it's 67. It'll be 66.66, which is not a whole number. So you need to have at least 67 people. Here 1,000 divided by 15 is equal to 67, less than or equal to n. So n, number of people, must be greater than or equal to 67. This is the least number. So 67 is the minimum number of people, but if you have more than 67, it's fine. But since they have asked the least number, the minimum number to satisfy this inequality, it will be 67. So it's very simple. Here the explanation is also given. And over here, you should just solve the inequality. Just do 1,000 divided by 15. That's it. You'll get the answer. And remember, the inequality will remain as it is. Over here, we have another similar problem to prom. Caleb manages the budget of his school's junior prom. His class has spent $1,250 for his prom venue, $625 for the DJ, and 1,470 for decorations. They will serve dinner before the dance, which will cost $12 per student. If he wants to keep the cost of prom tickets less than $20, so for one person it must be less than $20 or maximum 20. How many students will need to buy the tickets? Now, before we start solving it, let's see what are all the costs that incur. That is 1250 plus 625 plus 1470. These are mentioned. Now, these won't change per person. Doesn't matter 10 students attend, 1000 students attend. This is already done. The location is set, the DJ is paid, the decorations are done. It's a constant. But this one over here, 12 per student, what is it? The dinner costs $12 per student. It varies based on number of students come, right? So it is 12x. That's the thing. And they want to keep the cost of prom per person less than, it's not less than or equal to, it's less than 20. Now, before we write the inequality, let's understand this. If you spend, if you as a group, spend $100 and there are 10 students, how much will each student pay? It will be 10, right? So you have to divide by number of students. So here, number of students we don't know. Let's take it as x because we have taken already as x. This must be less than 20. So that's the equation. Now we can easily solve it up. Take this 20 to the other side. It will be 20x over here. Must be less than 12x and all these numbers. You can put in the calculator and solve it up. Or you can just manually do it. Now the inequality, please remember, I forgot to write over here 20x. X is gone over there. The inequality is there. So please do it step by step. Okay, over here you see all the numbers are solved. It is 3345 plus 12x and x can be taken to the other side or multiply both the sides by x. You're getting this equation. Now take this 12x to the other side. You have x must be greater than 418. But 418.125, since x must be greater 418.125, you cannot take this number. You can't take 418. It must be more than 419 students because you can't go lower. So 418 or greater. So that's why we have to have 419 students attending that prom in order to have the tickets for each student less than $20. That's how we solve these easy ones. Please practice them by yourselves, and if you have any doubts, post them in the comments. The question 10 is to convert the measure of angles from degrees to radians or radians to degrees. It is a very easy topic. You have degrees over here and pi is radians. All you need to do is use your calculator here. Type out this degree first. It's 18, right? Just divide this by 180. That's your radian measure. But over here, there's a pi missing. The formula is pi by 180. Just divide this by 180 and add pi to this answer. Just multiply by pi. This should be 1 by 10 pi or pi by 10. Because you multiply pi, it will be in the numerator. Same thing here. Just change this to 6. And the answer is pi by 30. You can try it all. If it's minus, don't worry. Just put the minus 72 degrees and it will be negative 2 by 5 pi. That's how we do it. What about this radian measures? They are still more easier. You should just know that pi means 180 degrees. Pi in terms of radians is 180 degrees. So just multiply wherever pi is there as 180. That's your answer over here. Now if you have say negative 7, instead of pi I will write 180 divided by 12 and that's the answer. It's 105 degrees. But over here since it's negative, minus sign remains. That's how easily we can solve this up. Now what about this one to find the arc length? The formula is very simple. It's a radius multiplied by the angle. But the catch is the angle must be in radians only. You can't use degree angles. So that's the only thing. Here, all you need to do is multiply 4 times 2 pi by 3. So I will get the answer 8 by 3 pi. Now, how do you find it in decimal? Just press this ST. You will get 8.3, 7 that is 8.4 because they told nearest 10th. I didn't read the question properly. It's nearest 10th, so please be careful. Don't write it like this. Don't write this as the answer. Your options will just give it away because your options will be in decimal, so easily you can figure it out. The answer is 8.4 here. Same way, please do the others. Radius is given, the angle is given, just multiply them both and you will get the answer. Now, don't write 180, it should be in radian, so just use this pi symbol. And no need of changing anything to radian degree mode, no, just leave it as it is and you will get the answers. Try these by yourselves. And that's it, this is a very easy topic over here. The question 11 is to find the periods of different functions. Here you can see different types of graphs. How would you know what is the period of each graph? Now imagine this function starts here and it goes like this and it comes down and it reaches this point till 10. But after 10 what's happening? Again, after this point, it repeats the same way it just did. And then after 20, it starts repeating. The point where the function is repeating itself is where you can denote the period. In the sense, till 0 to 10, it's unique function. It's going different ways, but then it's repeating. One set of unique motion would be a period. So now from year to year, this is unique, then it's repeating. Wherever it starts repeating, what's the frequency it repeats is basically the period. Here we can easily tell it's 10. What about this function? It starts from up, goes up, till over here it's unique. Then it starts repeating. 6 would be the answer. So that is how easily we can solve this question. Here it starts repeating at 10, 20, 30, so period is 10. Here it's 6. Now let's look at the 15th question here. It's similar, but there's a line here and there's a line. So what would you do? So sometimes students might get confused. They might say, okay, here it's a unique. Now it's repeating. Is it 3 pi? No, if you tell it's 3 pi, it's wrong. The period, it should start from 0. It keeps on going. This would be the end. That is in between 2 and 3. That is 2.5 pi. That is the period, not 3 pi. Just be careful with that because then it keeps on repeating like that. That would be. Then it would be 5 pi and then 7.5 and so on. Here it's simple. It's either 2 pi, 4 pi and it keeps on going. So you can see it's 5 by 2. 5 by 2 means it's 2.5. Next would be 5. Here we have 2 pi as the answer. I'm sure you might have guessed it now. Here it's 4 pi and then what happens over here? It's 2 pi. So, okay, see now this is not in terms of pi, there's just a number. So 4 is the answer, that's it. Period is 4. What is this axis? Theta axis is just given as 4, nothing else. Here they have clearly mentioned it's pi, so we have to tell 2 pi. That's all in this topic. Again, another easy one. If you have any questions or doubts, please post them in the comments. Question 12 is to solve trigonometric ratios. In fact, over here the angles are given and the trigonometric function is given. This is so simple and direct in calculators. Though they have mentioned it's from the unit circle, here it is question number 12 in the MCQ part. So I'll directly do the shortcut method. It is sine negative 510, close the bracket. Here you go, that is the answer over here. Same way you can do the other problems. Now if you have angle in terms of pi, that's in radians, doesn't matter. All you need to do is instead of pi put 180 degrees. So I'll write it as 3 into 180 divided by 4. You can also change the mode to radian and everything, but this is more easier. If you just put pi as 180, it's so simple. That is the answer. You can see all the answers over here. That's the correct one. Please do it by yourselves and then check the answers. Here, if you have to solve trigonometric expressions, that's also very simple. Write it out as it is. And cos 45 minus cos 30. You don't need to solve anything directly. They want the exact value. So close the bracket. And that is the answer. Here, sometimes this changes. See, now first is written as a root 2 minus root 3 by 2. That's same. This is same. If you do ST, you'll get the same answer for both. Same thing over here, you can do it. It's just multiplication. Please try them out. Rather than the actual method substituting the values, you can easily solve it in calculators. Now, if it is radians as well, no worries. You can directly substitute instead of pi, 180 and solve them. Please do them by yourselves. Over here, and I will do this one, squaring. What about the squaring thing? Use brackets. Let's write sine 45. Now you need to close two brackets because one for the angle and one for the entire function, and square it up. And then plus here as well, cos 45, close the brackets, and now square it up. This is the answer. Now, what if you have something like this? Instead of the brackets, they gave you sine squared 45 plus cos squared 45. These both are same as sine 45 the whole square plus cos 45 the whole square. The answer will be the same, it's 1. In the calculator, you don't have the option to put sine squared 45. So you need to put a bracket first, then see the bracket, then write the sine 45 and then close it and square it up. This is how you do it in the calculator. Please remember that. Other than that, everything is straightforward. Only when it comes as squared, over here, this is very easy as it is put in the calculator. You might get this. If you get this, just remember brackets and square is outside. And please do solve the other problems. Straightforward. You can put this directly in the calculator, you will get the answer. That's it for this topic. This is a really easy and straightforward topic. If you have any doubts, please do post them in the comments. Question 13 is to describe the graphs of sine, cosine and tangent function. Here we have real life situation problems. Let's look at this problem. You can see the figure is already given. Maribel sets up an experiment with a spring at a physics lab. She hangs the spring from a hook and attaches a weight to the bottom of the spring. She records the length of the spring when it's fully compressed. You can see it's 3 centimeters. And when it's fully extended, that's 12 centimeters. As shown, when she releases the spring from fully compressed position, she finds it takes 2 seconds to come back to this position. So what happens is, when you release it, it'll go up, extend fully and comes back to the original position, right? This takes 2 seconds. That means that's the period of the function. Period is the time taken for the function to come back to its original position. And Maribel wants to write the function of t with respect to time. That's why that models the length of the spring in centimeters t seconds after it has been released. Then we need to find the amplitude, the period, and graph the function. So here, first of all, we have some data over here. We need to write the function, right? F of t, sorry, because it's with respect to time. We know f of x in general for sine and cos is a sine bx plus k. This is the midline wherever you graph it, or a cosine bx plus k. Now, this is with respect to x. Since we are doing with respect to t here, that x will be t. That's the only difference. But which function do we use? Here, generally, because the compression is happening, there's something already happened, we will take cosine function because it starts from up, Generally, in real world situations, when something has already happened, we take cosine. And the amplitude, what happens? Is it A will be positive or negative? Here, if you see, the compression is there. So we generally consider it to be negative. And one more thing, you can see it's from up to down. Okay, you can consider the graph will be little different. The cosine graph won't start like this, it will go opposite direction. So we have to change the opposite sign for the amplitude. That means minus A. These are few things from this question we have. Now let's start solving. First one, amplitude. What is it? Now the total is over here 12. Subtract that 3. So it will be minus 3. And that is the total length of the graph, right? It will be so much. Now amplitude is half of it. Half would mean divided by 2. So it will be 4.5 here. It will be 12 minus 3 is 9 by 2, 4.5. What is the period? Period over here was given already. How much time does it take to come back to its original position? 2 seconds. So period is 2 seconds. Now let's do the graph for this function. Let's first write the equation of the graph. I'll write it over here. F of t, because they have clearly mentioned with respect to time, will be a cosine bx plus k. K is the midline. Now midline is also simple. K is equal to, you can just add the amplitude with whatever step is there. See now over here, this is already there. That's the extra height. So you need to add that, because when we graph it, graph will have a jump of 3 centimeter and then the amplitude, right? See, the jump is already given as 3. Or if they tell it's above certain height, that is the added part. And then we add the amplitude, because the graph's amplitude is half of the total graph, right? So it will be somewhere over here, the midline. So the midline would be k equals amplitude we got as 4.5, because it is 9 by 2 plus 3, k is 7.5. Midline is done. We have a value, we have the period, but what about the b? That's the only unknown value. The b can be easily solved. Period, I'll write p is equal to, what's the formula for period? If you remember, it's 2 pi by b, right? We need to solve for b. So take b to the other side, will be 2 pi by. B is the period of 2 seconds. So it cancels. B is equal to pi. Now we know b, we know k. I'll just write a again. A was 12 minus 3 by 2. A is equal to 4.5. But here, since it's from up to down, we will take it as minus. A is equal to minus 4.5. Remember that. This is it. So we found all these. Now just put it back in the equation. Function f of t will be equal to minus 4.5 cosine pi x plus 7.5. This is your function f of t. This is it. If this is one of the option, you can just do few of these and figure out which is the correct answer. But if they ask you about graph, how do you graph it? Now, I would personally suggest you do the table method. Now, here when you use the table method, you need to be careful with the period. So, sometimes students get confused. Okay, they write it as pi or something and then it will be a problem. I will tell you exactly how to do it. You need to press mode 7. Let's write this function. Over here, one important note. Don't change this to radian, okay? Even when it's, a radian function, you have a period of 2 pi. I personally keep it in degrees. I convert 2 pi to degrees and then I put it. Okay, it is much easier in terms of degrees rather than radians, because you might get confused with radians. So I will just use this as it is, cos. Now don't put pi. Pi is basically 180 degrees. So I'll write 180 into alpha x. I don't need to write that multiplication. It's understood, it's multiplying. Plus 7.5. Once you have typed the equation properly, press equal to. You may not get this option, but if you get it, just ignore this and press equal. If you have the latest model of the calculator, you might get that. Now here, starting and stopping. Let me just draw a simple coordinate scale. We have to start at 0, but where do we end? How do we understand which is the ending point? You need to know what is the period. How much is the period? It's 2 seconds. Now please don't write in terms of pi. It is in terms of 2, 3, 4 seconds. So 2. Over here I will get a complete understanding of how the graph works. If you want, you can take until 4 maximum. Don't take very big numbers. Don't take 5 or 10. You won't get the answers. The table won't be generated. Here I would just go with 1, 0, 2, 3 maximum. 4 is more than enough. Now I will just type start at 0 and till 4. Let me know what is happening. 4. And then what is the step? Step I'll give 0.5, so I'll have at least few points. See, within a period, at least 4 points are required. So I have 0 to 2, so if I take 0.5 here, I will have 4 points for one period. So now at 0, what is the point? It's 3. Now I won't graph it, it will be inaccurate. Let's just see the graph, the real graph. You can see over here the answers are given. This is how we solve it up. We did the same thing, amplitude, seconds, and here's the graph. Now let's compare the answers. At 0, it's at 3, yes. At 0.5, what is the value? It's 7.5, yes, around that. And then at 1, what is the value? 12, yes, maximum. Then at 1.5, what's happening? It's again 7.5, and at 2, it's 3, that's the lowest point. And then you can see again at 2.5, it goes like this and keeps on repeating. But if you understand one period, it's more than enough. We have done for 2 complete revolutions, that's enough. So this is the graph, this is how we graph it. Now, if at all you have been given 4 graphs, then I have told you a method earlier. Just type the equation and then solve it up. You can easily get it. But here, if you have to do the equation and then graph it, you need to do the methods which we just now did. The writing method, all this is important. And then you need to graph it up. Okay. I guess this is also similar like to the previous one. Let's do this one as well. An amusement park ride consists of 16 foot arms. You can see there are 16 foot in height that each have a card on one end of the arm and a counterweight on the other end. Okay. The arms rotate in opposite directions. Each car has a minimum height of 3 feet above the ground. Okay, this is for the midline, that 3 feet above the ground. When we do the k value, right, we need to add a plus 3 over here. That's what it tells. It takes each car 3 seconds to make a complete rotation. This is the period is 3 seconds. The function f of x models the height of one car above the ground x seconds after it rides. Assume the cars make complete rotations as soon as the ride begins. Okay, that means it has already started. So we can take it as a cosine function here. Now, from so much information, we will start doing the problem. Now, what about the amplitude? We know the total height is how much? 16 over here. This much will be the total. Half of that would be, half of that will be 8. Amplitude is 16 divided by 2, that is 8. And what next do we need? We will just write the function. F of, over here they have told x itself is equal to a cosine function bx plus k. K is done, a is done. What is b? Use the period. Period is equal to 2 pi by b. So we need b value. So it is 2 pi by p, that is 3 seconds. It's 2 pi by 3. So I will write everything in this function. F of x equals. Now here, the thing is, the car just starts. Now, it will be from down to up the function, the graph, because it starts from the lowest point and then it goes up, okay, when we graph. So remember, the amplitude will be minus, okay, whatever a value we get will be minus 8. Cos function b is 2 pi by 3 and x plus k is, the amplitude was 8 plus 3, that is 11. So this is the function. Now this is supposed to be a writing question, and if you write so much, it's enough, to be very honest. So now let's look into the graph. I will use the table method itself. So let's just see the answers over here. Amplitude is 8, b value is 2 pi by 3, and what do we have? The graph. Now the function what we got is minus 8 cosine 2 pi by 3 x plus 11. Now let's use the table. I've just typed this equation. Now here, instead of 2 pi by 3, I've written 2 times 180 by 3 alpha x. Please remember, don't put pi, put it in terms of degrees. Now when you press equal to, ignore if you get any extra equation. We are doing only for one equation. Now what about start? Let's start at 0. We know what's the period, right? The period is 3. So I will take 2 periods. I will take until 6. Starting at 0, I did 0 and ending at 6. And what is the step? From 0 to 3, I need to have at least 4 points, okay? So what I'll do is, 3 divided by 4 is 3 fourths, 0.75. I'll take the step as 0.75. I will tell you the method how exactly to get this step. See what's the period. It's 3 just divided by 4, because I'll have 4 points. So I'll have 1, then I will have 2, this is the initial, 3, 4, and then will be the period itself. So that's how I'll get these points, okay? I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, then again it repeats 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll have a better understanding of the graph. And let me press equal to, you can see from at 0 it was how much? 3, yes. And what about 0.75? Somewhere over here it's at 11, yes. And then at 1.5 it's maximum 19, correct? And then we have again 11 and it keeps on repeating. So this is how we can easily check the graph. And if you want to plot, you can easily plot the graph like this. And then we have a few more questions. Let's read this. What is the first interval of your graph in which the function is increasing? Now, where is the function increasing? It starts from here till over here. Then it starts decreasing. So the interval is about 1.5, half of 3, 1.5. So x is from 0 to 1.5. That's increasing. Only the first interval they have asked. X is greater than or equal to 0 and x is less than or equal to 1.5, or you can also write it like this. So 0 comma 1.5 in terms of close bracket. Okay, and it's better to write this format because generally the options will be like this. The third question is to explain how your graph shows the period of the ride. Period over here is 3, and basically the distance between two maximums or two minimums can be an easy point to find the period rather than the starting point. If it's in the middle, it's very hard, right? You can see what is the maximum at 1.5. From here 3 more, you'll get one more maximum, or minimum is the same thing. So that's how you do this problem. And here we have write a sine function in which the amplitude is 2 and its graph has 3 complete cycles on the interval 0 to pi and justify our answer. So let's do the same thing. Sine function, so we know f of x will be a sine bx plus k. But over here, they have not mentioned any height or anything, starting point. So let's just keep it this much. Amplitude is 2, has 3 complete cycles in the interval 0 to pi. 0 to pi, in this, within 0 to pi, you can draw 3, okay, rotations, like complete cycles. Now that is a very bad drawing, but how do you understand this? You don't need to draw that. We can understand the period is pi divided by 3 because pi is the total length. In that, there are 3 complete cycles happening. So it's pi by 3. Now here then sine, okay, we know the period. What about the b? b is equal to 2 pi by period. So 2 pi by 3. So this cancels. And what about this? This will go up. It will be 6. 2 times 3, right? Or we just put in the calculator. You'll get the answer 6. So it's 6x. And yeah, that's the answer. Now, if you want to justify your answer, the thing is from 0 to pi there is 3 complete cycles. Therefore, the period will be pi divided by 3. And from the period we can find the b value and then just write it out. Okay, this is the answer. Okay, now here they have written in theta. I forgot. Whatever is correct, 2 sine 6 is correct. But since they have clearly mentioned it's in theta, so we write 6 theta. That's the only thing. I've not written in detail, I've just done directly. It's very simple. Once you understand the basics, you can easily solve it up. Now, amplitude over here was given already. So that. Now, this problem, it's similar to the previous one, but little different. So I'll do this as well. The function h of x is given over here, 6 sine 30 pi x plus 10. Models the height above the ground in inches of a point P at the tip of a blade of a floor fan x seconds. After the fan is turned on, what is the speed of the fan in rotations per minute? Now they have clearly told here x is in terms of seconds. So about rotation we need to find. If you find the period, we'll come to know how many times it's rotating, right? Most of us will think that's the answer. We need to find how many times it's rotating. So just find the period. But no, it's not that. Here, whatever answer you get is in seconds. We need to convert that to minutes. So now let's do this. Yeah, I won't go in detail. I'll just just go to the point. What you need to solve is the period. B value is given. It's 2 pi by b. B is 30 pi. So here this cancels. What is the answer? 1 by 15. Now this is in terms of seconds, 1 by 15. What this means is, in 1 second, there are 15 complete cycles happening. So 15 times the fan is turning. But this is in 1 second, it is 15 times. But we need 1 minute. So how many seconds are there in a minute? It's 60 seconds. How many times? X. So just take it to the other side, cross multiply here. That is 50 times 60. Just solve this up, you'll get the answer. 15 times 6 is 90, 900 times. So 900 cycles occur in basically 1 minute. So that's the answer over here. 900 rotations per minute, RPM. And compare and contrast the graphs of y is equal to half sine theta and y is equal to sine half theta. Now here, it's just that the amplitudes are different and the periods are different. I don't know what exactly they want. Yeah, amplitude and period, that's all you need to solve for. What is the amplitude here? Half. Period is 2 pi by b is 1. So it's 360 degree means it's 2 pi. So it's 360 degree period here. What about here? Here it is half, b is half. So it will be 360 by half. It will be 720 degrees. Amplitude is 1. That's the difference over here. Basic things. And write the trigonometric function that has an amplitude of 3 and a period of 180 degrees. Then graph the function. Very simple again. You have the a value, period is given, b value will be 2 pi by b. So we will have 2 pi by 180, that is, now 180 is basically what, pi, right? So I will write it as 2 pi by pi itself. This cancels 2. B value is just 2. Or you can just write it as this one. It had to be 360. Okay, that's 2 pi means 360 one time. Sorry, 1 time, 2 times. So 2 is the answer. Once you have the amplitude and b value, it's very simple. We can write a function f of x is equal to, I'll take sine function. They didn't mention any function. A sine bx. Don't need of any midline because they have not mentioned it's shifted or anything. So it is 3 sine, this is whatever the value is given, we take the modulus, so it will be positive 3 sine. What is b value? It's 2, and over here we write it in terms of x or theta, it's fine. This is the function. Now if you want to graph, just put this in the calculator and graph it. We have done it before. I'll just do it again. Just type out the equation over here, sine 3 sine 2x, and then where do you want to start? We will start it at 0, we will end it at 360, because over here what is the period? It's 180 degrees, right? Now what is the step? 180 divided by 4, that will be 45 degrees, and this is it. So let's compare the graph here. It starts with 0 at 45 degrees, it's at 3 somewhere, yes, and then at 90 degrees over here, yes, it's 345 degrees, 90 degree again 0. You can see at 135 it's minus 3, 180 is 0, 225 it's 3, and it continues. Okay, I've done till 360, but you can stop. Any one cycle, one period is enough. You can see the methods used over here are complicated. Don't go to do these methods, okay? Even for writing exam, if this wasn't writing, you don't need to do all this. There are other simple methods, Let's just use the simpler methods. The equation is correct, and this is to find the intercepts. You do not need it. You can directly graph it and get the answers. Here, this is the last question in this topic. How can you use characteristics of trigonometric functions to sketch its graph? This is again just a word problem. You need to first determine the amplitude. What we did, first a value, then we did the period, and then intercepts. You can do a table and do it, but they have generally told you can graph by its intercepts, and then you sketch. So these are the characteristics used. Always remember the a value, amplitude is required, then we should know the period. Once we know the period, we can find the b value. Then f of x is, say it will be a cos or sine, it depends, bx. So we just put it. If it was sine also, that is the thing. So these two are required. How do we find B? From the period? Therefore, amplitude period. And then you can also tell from a table, you can easily sketch the graph. So that's how we can solve these problems. I hope you have found this helpful. Please do share my videos with your friends and please do subscribe to my channel. It would mean so much to me. In this video, we will use sinusoidal functions to solve problems, that is sine and cosine functions. Here we have a reasoning question. Research how the sine function can be used to model ocean waves. Now sine function starts from 0 and it goes up something like this, you can see, and it keeps on repeating itself. The ocean waves also can be modeled the same way because they also have a certain interval. It'll come up, down. So we can use sinusoidal, because they share the same behavior and they both repeat themselves after consistent intervals. Here we have a real life situation problem. An anchoring cable exerts a force of 500 Newton on a pole. The force has the horizontal and vertical component f of x, f of y. Always x relates to the horizontal component, y to the vertical. The function f of x is given over here, 500 cos theta. Describe the relationship between the angle theta and the horizontal force. What are the amplitude and period of this function? Same thing with the second one, relationship with the angle and the vertical force. The function is generally given for cosine. It's f of x is equal to a cos bx. Now we have seen this in the previous video as well. The same thing, but let's write according to what they have given us. F of x is equal to a is 500 cosine function, b is 1 because they have not written anything, theta. And there is no midline, there's no plus or minus anything. Now from this, we can easily find the amplitude. They want the amplitude, it is 500. The period is given by the formula 2 pi by b. The b value is 1, so 2 pi by 1, it's 2 pi itself. So the period is 2 pi. What about the next function? It's the same thing, isn't it? Because the amplitude is 500, that's a, and there is 1, so it's 2 pi. Both the functions have the same amplitude and same period. Now here I've written 2 pi, but it's 360 degrees because pi is 180 degrees, 2 pi is in radians, in degrees it's 360. Now this is the actual method to do it, taking magnitude, but you don't need to do all that because this is question number 14, just choose the correct answer. Another similar problem is there. Here the function is given y equals 60 plus 25 sine pi by 60. Now what is this 60? 60 is the k value. In the previous problems we had the formula f of x is equal to a. Now since it's sine, I'll write sine b theta plus k. This is the actual standard form, right? Now this k value is 60 over here. They have told t in months and t is 0 corresponds to April. Okay, it starts from the month of April. Models the average high temperature in degree Fahrenheit. Okay, this is about temperature. Determine the period of this function. What does this period represent? Let's find the period and then what is the maximum high temperature and when does this occur? Okay, we need to find the maximum and we need to know where does it occur. So let's find the period first. Let's substitute the formula here, the given equation, sorry, here. It is 25 sine, b value is pi by 6, t plus 60. Now then, what we do is, we will find the period, that is p is equal to 2 pi by b. And the magnitude of b, but it's just the positive value we have to take. 2 pi by 6, cancel this out. This goes up, it is 12, right? So what does this number represent? This is the time. It takes 12 months for the cycle to repeat. That is what it represents. After 12 months, you will come back to the same position. I mean, next year, April 15, the temperature will be the same. So now let's do the second part. What is the maximum high temperature and when does this occur? Now there are different methods to do it by finding the maximum value over here, adding it up. But I feel the best and the easy method is just doing it in the table. Because we know the period, we can find the values, x and y values. Now, always see the period, 12 divided by 4. What is this answer? 3. So this is the step. Yeah, 3 is the step. Now why did I write this? I'll show you now in the calculator. Let's go to mode 7. This is the table method. And let's type the equation as it is. You can type it directly like this. It doesn't matter whether you rearrange it or not. So I'll just type the question, sine pi, that is. Now here, please don't use pi. Use 180 degrees because my mode is also in degrees. Just use degrees over here because pi, it will be a bit confusing. The unknown variable is t, that take it as x, alpha x. You don't have to write the multiplication sign, just alpha x is enough. Now here, why I wrote this and not this function? Because if you're in the exam, it's only this part. So you directly take the equation. If there's no option A, only option B is question B is given, then directly put the equation in the calculator, press equal to. You're not supposed to get this. Most of the models don't give this. But if you get this, just ignore that. Press equal to. And where do you start? Always at 0. And where do you want to end? I know at 12, it will be one complete cycle. It will come back to its original position. So I'll take 24. Starting is at 0, end at 24. Let me have two cycles. After choosing this 24 end, we need to choose the step. See, when you press equal to, you get the step. Step is always the period divided by 4. If you divide 12 by 4, how much you get? 3. Why 3? Because then you will have a proper understanding of maximum, minimum point and the between points. Okay, so always remember period divided by 4, the answer over here is 3. If any other period was there, if it was say 8, then divide by 4, it would be 2. So that is what, sorry, over here divided by 4 is 3. I will type in 3. And now you get understanding of the graph, how this moves, how this works. So at 0, it is 60, then it goes until 85, then it comes down to 60, then it goes down to 35, 60, it's fluctuating. You can see over here, the maximum value is 85 here. So I can easily tell now, the maximum is 85. Now, when does this maximum occur? When does the maximum occur? If we go up, when was the initial maximum occurring? After 0, the x value is 3. At x is equal to 3. Now, let us make sense of what this is. The x value is basically over here the t value. That means when the time is 3. Over here, time is in months. So, after 3 months from the initial, at 0, we have 60 degrees. That is in April 15th. After 3 months, that is April, May, June, July. July 15th, you will have the maximum of 85 degrees. Then it will fall down, it will go down, again it will come up, again the maximum repeats. Because sine graph repeats itself, isn't it? The first maximum we get is in July, after 3 months. So this is what we understand from here. See the maximum value over here, maximum high temperature is 85. When does it occur? It occurs 3 months after the initial. That means over here, April is the initial month. So 3 months after that would be July. So that is how we solve it. Let's go through the sample answers. Here they have told it's 12 months in a calendar year. That is when it starts repeating itself. That is period. And then over here they have used the intercept method, but just try to stick with the table method because in the previous video also I taught you the same method. It's easier. And you can see this means the maximum high temperature, it's 85 degrees Fahrenheit, that's the unit, occurs 3 months after the initial April. That is in July 15 that occurs. That is what it is. Another similar problem, a cyclist pedals at a rate of 6 rotations every 5 seconds. Whenever you see these, let's write the period. This is the period. 6 rotations are happening at every 5 seconds. 5 by 6. Always remember this. Seconds will be on top. I think so in the previous video itself, we had a question 1 by 30 or something. In 1 second, there are 30 rotations. Same way over here, there are 5 seconds, 6 rotations. That is how we write the period. Directly write the period, it's 5 by 6. Seconds divided by number of time you're rotating. In 5 seconds, so many rotations are happening. The motion of the pedal is circular with the radius of 7 inches. Now, this motion is circular 7 inches. Now, this is, if you do it in a sine graph, Go 7 up, 7 down, 7 up, 7 down. So this is how it occurs. Now what you can do is directly take that as the amplitude. 7 up and 7 down, isn't it? So amplitude A is 7. And the closest the pedal gets to the ground is 4 inches away. When you cycle it out, the ground is how much away? It is 4 inches. Okay, this is not at all joining graphs. These are two separate graphs. If this is the pedal, there is 4 inches away. So this is to find the midline. So the midline K is equal to, we have done this formula in the previous video as well, A plus this height, right? That is 4. So K is equal to 4 plus 7 plus 4, that is 11. The midline is at 11. The closest the pedal gets is, yeah, that's done. Write the function h of t that models the height of the pedal in inches as a function of time t seconds. Assume the pedal starts at the highest point. Now that means you're not starting at lowest point, highest point. We will take the cosine function. So I'll write the function over here. F of x is equal to a cosine bx plus k. What do we need over here? A is known, 7, cosine function. What is b value? Period is known. B is equal to 2 pi by period, that is 5 by 6. So take the 6 up, it will be 12. You can put this in calculator, the numbers. It will be 12 pi by 5. That is the b value, 12 by 5 pi. We will write x as time because they have clearly mentioned this is h of t and this is time t plus, what is the k value? 11. So that is the function. It's very simple. Please refer to the question number 13 video because in that we have done the similar problems. So that must be the answer. Where is the answer? Here. 7 cosine 12 pi by 5 t plus 11. Now there are different ways to do it. Over here they have done the same thing. Found the period, then you can find b value, find the middle k value, amplitude, substitute. Here, another interesting question with some tables over here. Functions can be used to model the wave patterns of different colors of light emitted from a particular source, where y is the height of the wave in nanometers and t is the length from the start of the wave in nanometers. What are the amplitude and period of the function describing green light waves? Okay, they have told just find the amplitude and function. It's very simple, just the green light. Over here they have given for different lights all the details. Now we will just do amplitude. A is directly 200. Magnitude of 200, which is 200. What is the period, right? So B value is known over here. So period is equal to 2 pi by B. 2 pi, the B value is the coefficient of T, whatever is over here, divided by pi by 260. Pi cancels and this goes up. It will be 520. Just multiply 260 by 2, it's 520. The unit is already given, both are in nanometers, so it is nm. So period, after 520 nanometers, it keeps on repeating this particular color, green color. Now the next question, this is it for the question A. Second one is this: the intensity of the light wave corresponds directly to its amplitude. Which color emitted from the source is the most intense? Now the intensity is directly related to amplitude. That means the amplitudes are there, right? If there is high amplitude, then it is high intensity. Which is the most intense? Just see over here, which is the maximum? It is 460. It's LO. LO is the most intense. If they ask in the exam least intense or the lowest intensity, that would be blue color. You should just see which is maximum, which is minimum, and tell the answer. Then the color of light depends on the period of the wave. Okay, the period is very important for the color. Which color has the shortest period? And the longest period. Okay, so you have to find the period for all the functions. We just now did this, right? Use the formula, same thing. P is equal to 2 pi by B. Here it will be, B is pi by 350. Solve it. Again, solve it for orange color, yellow color. The same second part which we did for period must be done for all the colors. And then see which is having the shortest period and the highest period, the longest period. So I'll just go to the answers for that. Over here, the amplitude is 200. It's nanometers here as well. They have clearly mentioned it, and it's 520 nanometers. And then what about the B? We told yellow is having the highest. Yes, it's yellow. And what about this period? You have to just solve for all the periods. So we are the answers, and then check which is the highest period. The highest is 700. Red is having the longest period. The shortest is by violet color. So you can see violet is having the shortest. Red is having the longest period. A problem about swimming. As Kazuo swims a 25-meter sprint, the position of his right hand relative to water surface can be modeled by the graph shown over here, where y is the height of the hand in inches from the water level and t is the time in seconds past the start of the sprint. What function describes this graph? This starts from the beginning, that's 0, and it goes up, so I can easily tell it's a sine graph, isn't it? Sine theta. But we have to just write the equation of the graph. What's the amplitude from 0 to over here? A is 8. What's the period? From here it keeps on going until 2 point. What is this? It's 25, I believe. It's 2.5, sorry. 2.55, everything, so on. So period is 2.5. Just find the b value. B value is 2 pi by 2.5. This 2.5 is what? 5 by 2. You can use it in calculator. So it'll be 4 by 5 pi. Now just substitute in the equation. Now there is midline, k value is 0. So that's fine. And now f of x is equal to a sine b theta. A value is 8 sine, b value we found out to be 4 by 5 pi theta. Oh yes, sorry, it's t. In terms of t, they have clearly mentioned in the question. Over here you can have x, it's fine. This is the general form because I have, okay, one important thing. If I have f of x, I have to write x over here. If I have theta, I have to write theta. These two relate to each other. Now here they have told y of t, because they have mentioned this diet, and this is in terms of t. That is the equation. Let's look at the answer. It is 8 sine 4 pi by 5t. Yeah, it's the same answer what we got. For the question 14, exercise 33 and 34, that's the last two questions in this video. Please scan this QR code or click on this link and watch the explanations, because the entire detailed explanation for both of these are done in the previous video. This link is for the question number 13 video. So you can see this was already done. If you have watched all the videos in ascending order, then you might have already seen this. The detailed solution is over here. So please use that QR code and watch the explanation over here, and this one. And the last one is over here. So that's the end of this lesson. I hope you have understood it thoroughly. If you have any doubts, please do post them in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you very soon. The question 15 is to graph the reciprocal functions, that is the cosecant, secant, and cotangent functions. Here we have been given this equation and we need to graph it. This is question number 15. That's the last question in the first part, the MCQ part. So you will have 4 answers of the graph. You have to just choose the correct answer. So what I'll do is I'll teach you the shortcut calculator method. You just need your calculator and type this out. But can you type cosecant directly? No, but we know cosecant is the reciprocal function. It is 1 by sine. That is cosecant. Now write 1 by sine and this function over here, 3 by 4. And instead of x, we have to put alpha x over here. That's the variable. And that's it. Now all you need to do is calculate at different values. Press calc and do at different values. We need to see the options here. Now this is the correct answer, right? There will be 4 different graphs. Now let us just take, say, the point 0. I'll calculate it at 0. I'm getting a math error because it's undefined. It's an asymptote over there. Now let me choose other value. Let me calculate, say, at 2 pi by 3. When you're writing 2 pi by 3, you can't just use a fraction symbol. You can use bracket for 2 pi and then divide it by 3. But since all are in multiplication, you can just write 2 times 180. Remember, we are using in degrees. If you change this mode to radian, then you can use pi. But let's leave it in degrees. Pi is 180 divided by 3. And here you go, the answer is 1. Is it true? Yes, it's 1. Let me just quickly check, calculate 2 pi. 2 pi is 2 times 180, that is 360 degrees. It is minus 1. Yes, I can check any other points in between that also. And you must get the correct answer. Only one graph will remain. All the others will have wrong points. You can easily eliminate them. So the same concept is used for all the other graphs. Now over here, instead of cosecant, we have to write 1 by sine 3x and eliminate all the other options. And that's how we do it. So everything is same. Just write this equation as it is and check for the answers. For the tangent function, cotangent function, I mean, we have to be careful because here there are some values which will be undefined. So now I will tell you the method to avoid that as well. First of all, let's use our calculators and write this out. We have to write it in terms of 1 by tan because cotangent is equal to 1 by tan. Now we write 2x, that's fine. Now 0 over here, let's calculate at 0. It is error. Yes, it should be error because it's asymptote. Even at 90, it is a math error because it's undefined over there, asymptote. Now, if I calculate in the middle, that is 45 degrees, I will get an error. Why? Because the tan value is 0 and over here we have written 1 by tan. So over here when it's 0, it's undefined. So how do you avoid that? Here there is a simple method. Calculate. Instead of 45, I will put 44.999. Can you see that? Now I will get almost equal to 0 because 10 to the power minus 10 means it's less than nano. Nano is 10 to the power minus 9, so it will be 0 0.0. It's a small number, it's equivalent to 0. Or I can do this 45.0001. You can see here it is a very small number which corresponds to 0. This is one thing you need to do for cotangent functions. And now if you just choose any other point, say 22.5, then you will get proper. It's half of 45 is 22.5 and it should be 1. Yes, that's correct. So this is how we can easily find out the correct answer for cotangent. And cosecant is the same way. We have just done all these graphs, easy to find. Just use the calculator and eliminate the others. Secant is 1 by cosine. So easily use this cosine function and you will get it. Now we will go to one more type of problems over here. Please try to eliminate other graphs and get this. Try practicing in your calculator. Now for the question 12, here they have given you this function and they have told we have to find which are the vertical asymptotes. This also can be easily done in calculator. Just type the given function over here and calculate at different x values. Let's start minus pi by 2, that is minus 180 divided by 2. You can write directly minus 90. So over here we have 0. If there is asymptote, we should get a math error. So this is not true. Let's try calculate it at minus pi by 4, that is minus 45 degrees. It's a math error, so over here I can definitely say there's an asymptote. How about 0? Calculated at 0, I'm getting 0. Calculated at positive 45, it's a math error. So there is a math error at 2 points. And let's check the last one. 90, no, it's not a math error. It's 0. So what we understand is B and D are the math error. And since over here we are not using 1 by anything, this is the correct answers. Directly you can tell B and D is the asymptotes, whereas for the other options we are getting some values, so that can't be asymptotes. Now here as well, they have given us the graph and asked us which is it. Now don't go to solve for all these functions and then check out the graph. You can easily eliminate few graphs. It is not cosine function. Why? Because cos graph is continuous. We have seen cos graph many times. Here the secant graph, yes, this is obviously secant. If it was secant and cosecant, then it's a little bit tricky, but this is secant. It starts from here. Now, what is the amplitude here? It's 3, but look at the amplitude here. It's 1. So A should be the answer because amplitude is 1, right? And over here we have 3x. That means this, thins up, like it shrinks. But that is fine. We are just looking into the amplitude and easily eliminating C option. So only the possible option is A. So that must be the correct answer. That's how you can easily eliminate the other options and find the correct answer using your calculator. That's the end of the part 1, the last question of part 1. I hope you have found these videos helpful and beneficial. Please do share it with your friends. If you have benefited from it, please do subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next part. That's the part 2.